Hi everyone, Jordan Long here, and today I'm going to talk about when I guess you would say your borrowed sheet is declined or not let. Now, this could happen for sundriest ground or wise, but one of the most, I guess, tropes, you know, of folks who have a borrowed, have a deal with a borrowed guild, whatever borrowed guild it is, and one of the tropes is that they don't look to see how much that they have on them on their borrowed, reckoning with the borrowed guild and how much they yielded back to them and how much that they also have on them themselves to yield back. Now, the trope happens to be that someone goes to a shop. It always seems to be a shop. It's I guess it could happen to any other business that they happen to go to, but the trope tends to be that they go to buy something, whatever it is, and then the seller, then the gal taker ends up saying something like, "Oh well, they're not letting me, you know, that they're not letting me they're not letting me yield for it." And you say, "How is that?" And they don't tell you, they just give you your borrowed sheet back. And then if you say something about it and say it may be a mistake, and then you swipe it again, and they go, "Oh, it's still doing that." And then here's the other trope that I guess it goes, "Well, it could be a mistake, you know." Yeah, I guess so. Mistakes can happen on their end and our end, I guess. Well, it's still saying it. What would you seek out and see why it is? Alright. The next trope that tends to happen is then the gal taker will then, I don't know, call the business and then ask and say, well, they're like they're taking a borrowed sheet from so and so and why it's not working. And then they end up hanging up the far speaker and then say, "Well, I talked with someone at whatever the borrowed guild, whatever it happens to be, and they're saying that you did not fully yield back what you owed on them." Yeah, that's all it tends to look like. Well, it looks like I called them and they said that you did not yield everything fully back that you borrowed from them. Well, that's funny because I would yield it back to them. Well, I yield it back to them early than it's supposed to be, and I tend to yield back the full thing, because I yield it right, so I don't have to yield about, late borrow fees and a bunch of other things that they put on it. Yeah, well, that's what they're saying. So then you am up the last trope or whatever, I guess. Well, this is mostly you am up calling them or going on their website or whatever you do and saying there's this bind here and either one or two things happens. One, they go, "Yeah, it was a mistake." Sometimes our setup makes mistakes, which is true. And other times folks are guilty of either forgetting or, to yield it back or borrowing a lot more than they know they have on them to borrow back, which I guess does happen with folks. Now, before I end this film, there are going to be some folks out there who say, "Oh, well, they don't have yield. They don't have a yield time." Believe it or not, they do. They do. But you see, a lot of folks do take the upper hand on them. A lot of folks do lie to them and, are untruthful about their income bind. But they will work with you if you're having a hard time yielding back, and they will give you a yielding time because sometimes businesses still have to do those 5-day yielding time because sometimes websites go down, so there has to be another way for them to get their gout. And if they were, so yeah, they still do that. But most of the time, since folks yield through the interweb anyway, it just, bypasses the 5 or so yielding days that it takes for it to go from the wire to them. But sometimes things happen. Websites go down. There's always some bind to why you have to take them up on their 5-day yielding if you have to yield it back through the wire, which back in the day, everything was handled that way. But anyway, enough about that. Nothing about that. Tell me, do you think that's the trope? That there is someone out there that goes to buy something and then their borrowed Gild either says no because either A, they don't got no gout on them to yield it back, or B, they forgot to yield it back, or C, there's something wrong with the setup at the borrowed Gild or whatever the business that they're buying the thing from or whatever. If you like this film, then follow me over here at the Jordan Long Fairway. Watch the other film that I made yesterday over here. Don't forget to share and playlist and thumb up this film. Don't forget to hit that ringer when you are following us to know when the next upload or live stream is sure has been done. I, Jordan Mulan Long, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. Farewell. So long.